Finally, the Shreveport Connection has come back for another week's episode of Raw. And breaking news, Superstars is no longer being done anymore. First off, we got birthdays. November 27th, British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. He was born in 1962. Well, we all know that he passed away a few years ago. November 28th, Eric Rowan. He was born in 1981. Summer Rae was born in 1983. Happy birthday goes to those. Anthem Sports and Entertainment and Billy Corgan have settled their ways, according to FightNetwork.com. As Anthem Sports and Entertainment Corps and Billy Corgan announced on Monday that they have completed an agreement to resolve Mr. Corgan's litigation against Impact Ventures, the parent company of TNA Impact Wrestling. Anthem has acquired Mr. Corgan's loan to Impact Ventures on undisclosed terms, and Mr. Corgan has dismissed his proceedings against Impact Ventures and TNA Impact Wrestling. Anthem Sports and Entertainment Corps is a global sports media company that operates Fight Network, Impact Wrestling's exclusive broadcaster in Canada, as well as the exclusive worldwide digital streaming partner for all TNA programming. Also under equity stakeholder of Impact Ventures. Anthem Executive Vice President Ed Norham stated, "We are pleased to conclude these arrangements with Mr. Corgan. The events leading to litigation were unfortunate, but also reflected all parties' desire in good faith to support the company. The arrangements we have made with Mr. Corgan respect all parties' gratitude for his contributions to Impact Wrestling, both creatively and financially. We can now close this chapter and look forward to making Impact Wrestling a leader in the professional wrestling world. I'm pleased that an agreement is now in place that allows wrestling operations to continue," said Corgan. Impact's former president. "For my interest from the start was to provide support, be it material or creative, to such a great roster and crew. And as I plan on continuing in the business side of pro wrestling, I look forward to seeing where Anthem's leadership takes the company in 2017 and wish them the best." In other words, it appears that though Corgan has finally been paid, as Anthem agreed to do during the court hearings, it will be very interesting to see if this paves the way for Anthem to officially announce a purchase of majority control of TNA. Speaking of TNA, competitor Shane Helms was the guest on this week's X-Pac 1-2-360. And here are the highlights of what went on. On what's wrong with the X Division, that style I did as Sugar Shane, and you're one of the guys that needs credit for that too, as X-Pac said, because that's the style that is most over right now. It's one of those things that in TNA kind of hurts our X Division. The X Division isn't unique anymore because everybody's doing it. So it's hard to define that the X Division even is anymore. It's lost its identity because they got over. For the best of reasons, it's lost its identity. In the WWE Cruiserweight division, and whether he would return for it, I'm not getting any younger, as he said. And that's a division where athleticism has always been at an all-time high. It's just very high. So it would depend. Right now, I'm with TNA, and I'm going to be with TNA for the foreseeable future. But I love that division. I love what I did with it, what guys like Sean did for it. So I definitely would be open to somehow going in there and getting them out again. It's something that needs to be highlighted and left alone. That division needs its own identity. On being labeled as a cruiserweight, that decision was kind of made for me. When I was the cruiserweight champion, as a Hurricane, they wanted me to do other things, so that decision was kind of made for me. Then when I had the big run as Gregory Helms, I was wrestling the United States champion. I was wrestling the World Heavyweight Champion. I wrestled the World Tag Team Champion. I was always in these scenarios that were outside the division anyway. The comments on the current situation with TNA and WWE. All the legalities are finally settled down. So we can get back. I think over the past year, our show has been consistently more solid and more entertaining than anything out there. I know every time I say that it's like, oh, because you're with TNA, but I'll tell you when it's good and when I'll tell you when it's bad. I watch everything. And I think we're the most unpredictable show, other than the Goldberg-Brock Lesnar thing, which to me I loved, just for the unpredictability factor for that. I popped. I about woke my woman up beside me. I love unpredictability. I love not being able to predict every single match. I love that. So I love what we're doing. On the challenges TNA faces moving forward, I think that the best analogy I came up with for TNA is that we're at a restaurant that has new cooks. We got a new kitchen. We got a new menu. But people can't forget the E. coli breakout that we had a couple of years ago that killed about 8 people. So we're constantly fighting the ghosts of TNA's past. I don't know if we need to rebrand. If we do, that's fine. On whether WWE going to buy TNA, the last set of tapings right before we went down there, that's when all the rumors that WWE was buying them out, that they are getting the library and all that. We're going around. So the Sunday of the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, we're going to have a talent meeting. I was in that talent meeting at WCW when Shane McMahon walked in. So now we got one down there with all these WWE rumors. I'm like, if Shane McMahon walks in this room again, if I have to go through this crap twice, but then I was like, actually it worked out for me pretty well last time. And what happened when Shane got caught under the ring during Kane's pyro, I'll tell you a story. I was under the ring one time. It was one of the deals where I had to appear out of nowhere. So I was under the ring. They loaded me under there. They just forgot to tell me that Kane was going to do pyro or whatever. So I was underneath there when it went off on all these poles. It blew my head apart. It was so loud I could feel the concussion. It felt like I got punched in the head on all sides. I was just down there, and honestly, I've never been knocked unconscious. But there was a moment there when I was like, was I asleep? What just happened? Did I get knocked out? I didn't know where the hell I was at. That concluded his interview. Paul London had an interview on the Kevin Gill show, and here are the highlights of that. On the Cruiserweight Classic, I think it's that there's inexpensive way of loosely signing 32 guys, seeing who gets the best reaction from the audience and saying, who can we make money with? Then we'll sign these guys to extend deals and go from there. It's kind of weird. I look at it this weird. Veiled tryout. On why a tag team with Brian Kendrick worked so well. The thing I did with Brian will worked because we were, and always will be friends. I had a little bit of success with Kidman, for example. We were pals. We were work acquaintances, but we weren't really calling each other between trips, or texting, anything like that. That wasn't going on, and that translates into the ring when you're in there with your buddy. You don't feel bad about bugging this person at 3 in the morning. That's how it should be. And that concluded his highlights. Well, Cody Rhodes added a few more titles to his resume. As Rhodes won the Global Force Wrestling Next Generation Championship for Sanjay Dutt at Saturday night, at Friday, supposedly Friday night's wrestlecade show, Showcase of Champions, which took place in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'll show you a picture of that Global Force Wrestling event. The next title, I'll show you on the SmackDown results. As Rhodes spoke to the crowd and said that his father always told him sometimes the title makes the man, other times the man makes the title. He said he plans to find out which he is. And he's defending the title for a company that is not GFW. Tonight, at Prairie Wrestling Alliance's Christmas Slam in Edmonton, Alberta. I do have the full results of that, and that's coming up right now. From Winston-Salem, North Carolina, reported by Shinblade from Twitter. A sensational one. Match number 1. Eddie Edwards defeated Crazy Steve. TNA match. Tessa Blanchard defeated Rachel Ellering. By the way, Tessa Blanchard was one of the girls that was in the bar scene on Raw that I'll give you more details on in the results for Raw. It was happening with Cesaro and Sheamus. Former TNA star Gunner won a match over the Masterpiece, who's now going as Chris Mordetsky, his real name. Drew Galloway defeated PJ Black. Former WWE star Justin Gabriel, also former Next Gen champion on Global Force Wrestling. George South won the 3rd annual George South Battle Royal. Last eliminated Rockstar Spud. Carlito defeated Jeff Jarrett in a match. Luke Hawks went over BJ Whitmer. Ricochet, Shane Strickland, and Matt Cross defeated Sanjay Dutt, Caleb Conley, and Juventud Guerrera, formerly of WCW fame. Kelly Klein, Taylor Hendricks, Kanati Brink, and Bullet Babe, Amber Gallows, defeated Mandy Leon, Solo Darling, Faye Jackson, and Deanna Purrazzo, formerly of Tough Enough from WWE. And this was the results over the weekend, like I said, from WrestleCade on Saturday. Broken Matt Hardy defeated Ryback to retain the WrestleCade Championship. And we got the pre-show with Scott Stanford, Booker T, Lita, and Jerry King Lawler hosted the show from the headquarters of Stamford, Connecticut. Stanford hyped Charlotte versus Sasha Banks for Raw Women's Championship for Raw. Lawler hyped that Paul Heyman will address Brock Lesnar's loss to Goldberg. The host then addressed the women's title match. Stanford questioned whether he could see Ric Flair with the show in Charlotte, North Carolina tonight. Well, Lawler said maybe, and moved on. And then they talked about the Universal Championship between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins from last week. Was recapped along with Chris Jericho interference. Lita said Seth should take matters into his own hands by finding someone to neutralize Jericho. Lawler blamed Mick Foley for making it a no disqualification match. And Lawler said Stephanie McMahon should take a long look at the lack of leadership that Foley provides. Then they had a trivia question. Who was eliminated Sami Zayn in his first Royal Rumble match? Shockingly, the answer was not D's nuts or your mom, rather than it was Braun Strowman. This served as a segue to a recap of Strowman destroying Zayn on last week's Raw. Footage aired from earlier in the day of Foley on the phone with Stephanie McMahon when Zayn entered the room. Foley said he was happy Zayn was there because he wanted to talk about what happened last week. Zayn wanted a rematch. Foley said Strowman already had a match booked. Zayn pushed for the match, but Foley denied him. Zayn said he would have to take matters into his own hands. Stanford hyped the New Day versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson match for the Raw Tag Team titles for later on in Raw. Footage aired of Gallows and Anderson beating Golden Truth to earn the title shot from last week. It was not announced on the pre-show, but USA Network preview were all hyped. Chris Jericho interviewing Kevin Owens on the highlight reel. Kathy Kelly checked in from the social media lounge for a report. Charlie Caruso checked in from backstage at the building and hyped various aspects of Raw and 205 Live after SmackDown. Lowe's closed out the show by making Raw predictions. Lawler predicted that Paul Heyman will drop a bombshell regarding Brock Lesnar. Well, to me, it wasn't nothing Nothing but a meh. Stephanie McMahon tweeted that she is representing WWE as a keynote speaker at the Le Sports Connects event in China on Monday. Well, that's why she wasn't on Raw. The 3-day event was billed as China's first international sports conference. Obviously, this explains why Stephanie did not appear on Raw. They instead made it to look like Stephanie and Mick were speaking on the phone on the backstage segment. Well, just there's no more superstars. But they did do main event spoilers, but I'll save that for your SmackDown video as well. I normally do it with the SmackDown. A video package opens up with a highlight from last week where Seth Rollins challenged Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship. In the main event, with both Chris Jericho and Roman Reigns banned from ringside. The finish saw a masked Jericho interfere, setting up a powerbomb by Owens to the ring apron on Rollins to retain. Well, we get highlight reel to open up Raw with Kevin Owens. We go live to Charlotte where Chris Jericho is inside the ring with a mic in hand. Welcome to the highlight reel, says Jericho. He said his guest tonight needs no introduction, but he will give him one anyway. Jericho's guest tonight is the longest reigning WWE Universal Champion in history. He's also my best friend, my guest, Kevin Owens. Universal Champion Kevin Owens walks down the ramp and heads to the ring. Owens tells Jericho it's an absolute honor to be out here for the second week in a row on the highlight reel. Jericho said that is now a record, and Owens talks about best friends and making history. Owens said that the crowd has yet to make history, and that it was just a fact when they booed. He talks about the people celebrating Thanksgiving. Jericho adds, got fat? Owens said American Thanksgiving is really just a way to get one last meal before you rush every store in America and trample over each other to save $60 on a flat screen TV. Jericho calls the crowd cheapskates, and Owens says they should all be very proud. Owens then says Jericho and himself didn't need to do that because they were Canadian, and they actually had Thanksgiving last month. Canadians always ahead of the curve, says Jericho. A loud USA chant breaks out. Owens wants to ignore the chant and say what they are thankful for. He is thankful for being your WWE Universal Champion. Owens is thankful for being the face of the premier show in WWE, Monday Night Raw, also known as the Kevin Owens Show, as he adds. He is most thankful for his best friend, Chris Jericho. Owens and Jericho then hug it out, Bayley style. Jericho is thankful for Owens is his best friend. He's also thankful for his wicked rat scarf. He is also thankful for Seth Rollins. Owens is confused. Jericho wants to explain. He is thankful for Seth Rollins proved to him what happens when you let your ego and pride take over. Jericho adds that Rollins proved he is just a stupid idiot. He talks about Rollins failing miserably, and Owens adds that he Rollined himself. Jericho said people accusing him of interfering are wrong, and that it was Sin Cara wearing a Chris Jericho mask. Owens called the mask so realistic, and he had Rollins exactly where he wanted him regardless. He said Rollins isn't even medically cleared to be here tonight. And we get U.S. champion Roman Reigns walks out to interrupt. Reigns has a mic in hand and is wondering why Owens and Jericho stopped talking. Jericho asks if he thinks that they are funny and here for his entertainment. Reigns thinks Owens as a Universal Champion is a joke. Owens tries to repeat the line and flubs. Jericho says Owens is just confused because English isn't the only language that he speaks. Owens says that the real joke is Reigns calling himself the guy around here. Reigns says Owens needs help with everything, which is why he keeps Jericho around. Owens says he doesn't need Chris Jericho. Jericho gives Owens a look. Reigns wants to get this straight. Owens doesn't need Chris Jericho. He agrees. Reigns thinks if he didn't have Jericho last week, he would have lost the title. Actually, you would have lost it the week before that, then the week before that, the week before that. And Reigns. Then Jericho interrupts Reigns and asks him if he knows what happens by insulting his best friend. Owens tells Jericho to shut up. He says Reigns can't talk to him that way. Reigns asks what he will do. Owens suggests giving Reigns a powerbomb on the apron like he did to Seth Rollins. Reigns suggests they do exactly that tonight in Charlotte. He also suggests that if he beats Owens tonight, then he gets another shot at the title at Roadblock. Owens agrees, saying Reigns has just booked himself into the Kevin Owens show. Reigns says he likes that show, and spoiler alert, Owens is going to get his ass kicked. And it cuts to a commercial break. Backstage, Kevin Owens is upset about what Roman Reigns had to say. Chris Jericho asks Owens why he told him to shut up. Owens says he can't deal with this right now. Jericho wants to know right now and wonders why Owens said he doesn't need him. He said he was always there for him. Owens said that the problem is he thinks he is helping. He tells Jericho he doesn't need him. Jericho said he doesn't need Owens as his best friend. Mick Foley walks up and confirms a match between Owens and Reigns tonight. Jericho tells Foley he doesn't have to ban him from ringside because he is over this. In the segment backstage, R-Truth with Goldust versus Braun Strowman. Well, during this match, I took a drink break. R-Truth with right hands early, Truth with a kick, and then Strowman levels him with a clothesline. Strowman with a splash in the corner on Truth. Then Strowman with a running power slam on Truth, off his shoulder, and gets the quick pinfall. This is none other than Dr. Death, Oklahoma Slam. After the match, Goldust checks on R-Truth. Goldust goes after Strowman with rights. Strowman with a splash on Goldust in the corner and locks him in a bear hug on Goldust. Sami Zayn's in the ring and jumps on the back of Strowman. Strowman tosses Zayn down. Zayn with body shots. Strowman tosses Zayn to the corner. Zayn with a boot to Strowman in the corner. Strowman grabs Zayn and connects with a forearm to the chest. Strowman then lifts Zayn up and slams him down face first on the mat. Strowman puts Zayn in the tree of woe in the corner. Strowman backs up with a WWE official in his ring to break it up. Mick Foley walks down and ramps telling Strowman to stop. Commercial break. Back live, and we got Sami Zayn arguing with Mick Foley about wanting a fight with Braun Strowman. Zayn said Foley was his hero growing up, but right now he is looking at a guy who is in my way. He describes Foley as a guy taking away opportunities and calling him a hypocrite. Foley tells Zayn to let it go. Zayn heads to the back. Charlotte defends the Women's Raw Championship against Sasha Banks tonight. Backstage, we see the Raw Women's Champion Charlotte listening to music when Dana Brooke walks up. Charlotte tells Dana she is trying to prepare for a championship match. Dana has an update about the Queen's homecoming celebration. Charlotte said tonight she comes home and gives her people hope. Commercial break. Cruiserweight division match. Cedric Alexander, who is a hometown favorite, versus Tony Nese with Drew Gulak. We get a handshake to begin the match between Alexander and Nese. Alexander got a nice reaction from his hometown crowd of Charlotte. Alexander with a arm drag and gets caught in midair by Nese. Rolled up as Alexander gets the head scissors followed by a drop kick on Nese. We see a shot of Alicia Fox looking on from backstage. We see a shot of Drew Gulak trying to interfere at ringside. And Nese catches Alexander with a quick moonsault. Nese keeps Alexander grounded with a body scissors submission. Nese transitions to a headlock, keeping Alexander grounded. Alexander with a big kick to the head off the ropes. Alexander catches Nese on the jaw with his shin from the ring apron. Then Alexander takes out Gulak, who jumped on the ring apron, and Nese with a nasty-looking pump handle slam on Alexander for the win. Then we see a shot of Gulak smiling at ringside. Michael Cole plugs 205 live after SmackDown on the network. Backstage, Enzo Amore and Big Cass plug Cyber Monday with WWE Shop. Universal Champion Kevin Owens versus United States Champion Roman Reigns will main event here tonight. Where if Reigns wins, Here's a shot at Owens Universal Championship at the upcoming WWE Roadblock pay-per-view on December 18th. Well, spoiler alert. Well, it's already over with. That was not your main event. I'll give you a reason following the next results. Video from earlier showing Roman Reigns challenging Kevin Owens. We then see footage of Chris Jericho telling Owens that he was on his own tonight. Backstage, we see Chris Jericho with his luggage and asks if this argument with Kevin Owens is actually serious. Jericho says shame on you, and it is very serious. He said if Owens doesn't need him, then he doesn't need him, and walks off. Jericho yells at the driver to open the door. So apparently he's leaving the arena. The driver knocks the list out of his hand while he's opening the door. Jericho calls the driver a stupid idiot. We hear the driver ask if he made the list. He was actually Seth Rollins, who replied and starts attacking Jericho, throwing him into the car and then into a barricade. Rollins throws Jericho on top of another car, throws him some right hands. He tries to throw a barricade at Jericho on a car, and Jericho moves. Rollins sends Jericho's shoulder first into another car, and then into another car. Rollins goes for a pedigree on the concrete, but Jericho countered. They brawl on top of another car with a sunroof, and Rollins nails a pedigree on Jericho, on the sunroof of the car, but it does not break. Pedigree leaves a big dent on the car, but nothing more than that. As that ends that segment, Charlotte defends the Raw Women's Championship against Sasha Banks next. Commercial break, Raw Women's Championship match. Up next, we get introductions for the challenger, Sasha Banks, and champion Charlotte. Charlotte trips up Banks early and goes for a cover. Banks then kicks out quickly. Sasha gets the back of Charlotte and gets the Banks table applied early on. Charlotte gets the ropes and Sasha gets a kick to Dana Brooke. As Banks jumps out, tosses Dana into the steel steps. Banks with a shoulder charge to Charlotte from the ring apron, then comes off the turnbuckle with a crossbody for a 2 count. Banks does the Flair strut, slaps Charlotte. Charlotte with a forearm sending Banks to the floor. Banks pulls Charlotte out and tosses her face first off the ring apron. Charlotte with a chop. Banks fires back with a chop. Banks tosses Charlotte over the ring barricade. Charlotte then fires back with a shot on Banks and then sends her red purse into the barricade. Charlotte again sends Banks into the barricade. Charlotte with chops to Banks as they head into the crowd. Referee reaches the 10 count and she keeps hitting Banks on the outside. Referee calls for the belt. Double count out as a decision. Well, Mick Foley comes out and says, no, we're not going to allow this. Charlotte is smiling. We won't allow this rivalry to end like this. Foley orders both to rest, because later tonight, the title match will restart, and it will be under no count out, no disqualifications, and falls count anywhere rules. Charlotte was upset at ringside with her title as we see a shot of Banks smiling, and that becomes your main event. Lana is inside the ring after a commercial break and asks America to stand up and welcome to the one and only true American hero, Bulgarian Brute, and also does put your hands up across your chest, yada yada yada. And we get Rusev with Lana versus Enzo Amore. Before the match, Enzo informs Rusev that his wife got to see all of them last week. He suggests Lana was thinking about a certified G, stuffing her turkey, over Thanksgiving. The bell rings and Rusev levels Enzo. Rusev with a low blow, kick, and the bell rings. Disqualification. After the match, Rusev bails and stares down Enzo Amore with Lana. Big Cat jumps the ring and checks on Enzo. You never talk about my wife, yells Rusev. New Day defends Raw Tag Team Championship against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson Later on, we will see a shot of Rich Swann heading to the ring backstage. Commercial break. Footage of the WWE Studios film Incarnate, featuring Mark Henry was shown. Backstage, Henry was asked about working with actor Aaron Eckhart, when Titus O'Neil interrupts, saying that should have been him in the movie. Henry puts Titus down, asking if he is out of his mind, putting his hands on him. Live in the arena, WWE Cruiserweight Champion Brian Kendrick joined broadcast team with Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, and Corey Graves on commentary for this next match. Rich Swann versus Noam Dar. Swann challenges Brian Kendrick for the Cruiserweight Championship on tomorrow night's premiere of 205 Live on the WWE Network. We get a handshake to begin the match as the bell rings. Dar goes after the left arm of Swann early on. Swann catches Dar with a drop kick after a series of counters. Dar avoids a spinning heel kick from Swann. Dar with a soccer-style kick to Swann, who drops throat first on the bottom rope. Dar sends Swann chest first into the corner. Dar with a stiff knee to the face of Swann. Dar goes back to the work on the left arm and shoulder of Swann. Dar chops the throat of Swann a few times. Swann fires back with a big forearm. Swann catches Dar with a big kick to the back of the head. More like an enziguri kick. And Swann goes for the Rolling Thunder. And Dar counters into a cover for himself for a 2 count. Swann will roll up for a 2 count. Swann gets a huge kick out of nowhere to the head of Dar and holds him down for the cover. And gets pinfall victory. After the match, Corey Graves talked to Rich Swann about challenging Brian Kendrick tomorrow night on 205 Live. For the Cruiserweight Championship, Swann grabs the mic, pointing at the Brian Kendrick on commentary table. He asks Kendrick if he is trying to get in his head being out here. Swann thinks Kendrick is doubting himself because he's beaten him twice. He says the third time will be that much sweeter when he wins tomorrow night and become the new WWE Cruiserweight Champion. In that segment, Michael Cole talks with Paul Heyman later night to discuss the Survivor Series. And we get the segment that we're talking about. After a commercial break, with Sheamus and Cesaro at a local bar. They argue about not winning the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships. A guy at the bar recognizes Sheamus and talks about seeing him getting his ass kicked on last week on TV. Another guy insults Cesaro and how he doesn't belong. He burps in the face of Cesaro. Cesaro and Sheamus start brawling with the man at the bar. One guy breaks a pool cue over the back of Sheamus. Sheamus throws him over the bar as Cesaro gets in a shot on another guy with a pool cue. Sheamus yells, "Open bar," as he jumps behind the bar and serves Cesaro a Guinness. In this segment. Well, there's a woman in there, and that was Tessa Blanchard. Commercial break. If Reigns wins, he earns a WWE title shot. Supposedly this was your main event, but it's not. Kevin Owens attacked Roman Reigns before the bell officially rang. Referees push Owens away as Reigns tries to recover in the corner. Owens tells him to ring the bell. Referee calls for the bell, and Owens is back at it with rights on Reigns. Owens with a running boot, sending Reigns to the outside. Reigns fires back with right hands on the outside to Owens. Reigns tosses Owens back inside, and Owens rolls out. Reigns follows Owens with a kick, and Reigns counters, sending Owens to the barricade. Owens then sends Reigns shoulder first into the steel steps. Owens beats the referee count, tossing Reigns back in. Connects with a senton splash over Reigns for a 2 count. And we get a commercial break at that point. Back live, Owens connects with a clothesline splash on Reigns in the corner. Owens backs up and connects with a cannonball in the corner on Reigns. We see what happened during the break, that Reigns almost hit the referee, topped himself, and ate a DDT from Owens as a result. Back live, Owens with a headlock on Reigns to keep him grounded. Owens drops him with a headlock. Hits a senton splash over the back of Reigns. Gets a 2 count and then goes back to the headlock. Reigns gets his knees up. Owens attempts a second senton splash. Reigns with a repeated clothesline to Owens in the corner. Reigns drops Owens with a big boot. off the ropes. And after a corner clothesline, Owens with a straight right hand. Reigns returns one on his own. Both continue to exchange shots. Reigns catches Owens with a Samoan drop for a 2 count. Owens bails out of the ring when Reigns fires up for a Superman punch from the corner. Reigns with a drop kick to the head of Owens over the ring apron. Owens with a knee and a super kick combo to Reigns off the ring apron through the ropes for a 2 count. Owens is going to the top turnbuckle. Reigns cuts him off with a right hand. Owens with a rake of the eyes. Reigns falls back. And Reigns with a Superman out of nowhere. Superman punch out of nowhere. Owens falls off the turnbuckle to the outside. Owens is trying to crawl away when the referee begins his count. Owens is back up to 5 when Reigns catches him with a Superman punch off the steel ring steps. Owens fell head first into the ring apron. Reigns tosses Owens back in, and Owens cuts off a spear with a knee kick combo. Reigns with a second spear that catches Owens this time, and Reigns gets a pinfall victory. U.S. Champion Roman Reigns will now challenge Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship at the Roadblock pay-per-view on December 18th. Michael Coleslaw's interview with Paul Heyman was up next. After commercial break, backstage, the Universal Champion Kevin Owens is recovering after his match when he was trying to be interviewed by Charlie Caruso. He said the only reason Roman Reigns beat him tonight was because his head wasn't in it. And Foley should have recognized that. The video runs with highlights of Goldberg defeating Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. And then we get Michael Cole interviewing Paul Heyman. Coleslaw asks what happened at Survivor Series. Paul Heyman says, we screwed up. And that they took Goldberg lightly. He talks about it being the effing video game and how they figured it would be the easiest payday of Brock's career. Heyman talked about Goldberg spearing Brock immediately and then breaking his ribs. You can't breathe, you can't fight. Coleslaw asks how Lesnar is dealing with all of this. Heyman says, like you care. With tears in his eyes, Heyman says, you come into this business and injuries occur. Heyman says the humiliation and embarrassment, you can't offer any excuses. He talks about the match going into the record book and how it is now part of Brock's legacy. Heyman talks about Brock dealing with losses before, but this is embarrassing. He adds, it has put Brock in the mindset that he has something to prove, which scares him. That moment can define you. It can easily destroy you, or it can drive you to greater heights than you ever achieved before. Heyman then says, to think about Brock Lesnar that has something to prove is capable of. Coleslaw asks what is next. Heyman says if Brock has something to prove, he will prove it. He warns that if Goldberg is in the Royal Rumble match, then Brock Lesnar is in the Royal Rumble as well. So Brock has now entered into the Royal Rumble itself as well. We'll get a graphic promoting Goldberg and Brock Lesnar for the Royal Rumble match on January 29th, 2017 at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Raw Championship. Tag Team Championship match was up next. They defend the titles. New Day versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Before the match, New Day cut a promo about being just a few days away from beating a record set by the Demolition for the longest reigning Tag Team Champions ever. We start with Xavier Woods and Carl Anderson. Luke Gallows with a kick to Big E on the outside. Anderson with a big powerbomb early on for a 2 count on Woods. Tag to Gallows who plants Woods and gets another 2 count. Tag back to Anderson who eats body shots from Woods. Woods with a shot on Gallows in the corner. Anderson with a jumping kick to Woods. Tag to Gallows. Wood then tosses Anderson over the top rope. And Gallows nails a shot to Woods. We go to commercial break with Gallows celebrating as Big E still down. After commercial break, back live, tag to Big E and Anderson. Big E with a belly-to-belly suplex. Tosses Anderson 3 times. Big E fires up, shaking the hips, doing the swivels. Hits the ropes and clotheslines Gallows over the top rope. Big E then avoids a roll-up attempt by Anderson, but Anderson fires back with a jumping kick to the face for a 2 count. Big E nails a spear through the ropes on Anderson. Tag to Woods. Gallows with a big kick to Big E. Anderson with a big, huge spine buster on Woods for a close 2 count. Tag to Gallows who powerbombs Woods down as Anderson comes off the top rope with a neck breaker. Woods somehow kicks out after a 2 count. Big E eats a sit-down powerbomb from Gallows. Anderson with a big, legal tag eats a boot from Woods. Woods with a forearm shot that rocks Anderson. Anderson with a big Anderson with uppercut. Roll up. Anderson holds the tights of Woods. Woods countered. Held the tights of Anderson. Got the pinfall. Winner still tag team champions New Day. After the match, Anderson can't believe it, and Luke Gallows jumps in shocked as well. Backstage, we see Sasha Banks getting ready for the main event when Bayley walks in. She wants to wish Sasha good luck with the new stipulation tonight. Sasha tells Bayley no disrespect, but this isn't about her tonight. She talks about Charlotte disrespecting her own father, Ric Flair. Sasha said that this town needs a real champion, and she plans to dedicate her title victory to Ric Flair himself tonight. No disqualification, no count out, falls count anywhere. Match for your women's championship. Bell rings both Charlotte and Banks lock up. Banks with a job kick earlier that sends Charlotte out of the ring. Banks with a suicide dive that catches Charlotte on the outside. Banks with a suplex to Charlotte on the floor. Back inside the ring, Banks sends Charlotte to the floor again. Charlotte avoids an attack off the ring apron by Banks. Both Banks and Charlotte connect with a double clothesline. Both ladies are down as we go to a commercial break. Back live, Charlotte has Banks down in the head scissors submission when Banks brings it up, putting Charlotte on her shoulders for a 2 count. Charlotte has both arms of Banks wrapped around her neck, pulling back. Charlotte with a roll through, kicks Banks hard in the chest. Banks counters a figure 4 attempt and connects with a double knee to the face of Charlotte. Charlotte crawls to the corner to regroup. Banks with a running knee to Charlotte in the corner. Banks with a repeated forearm to the chest of Charlotte. Charlotte avoids the knees from Banks and lands a kick. Charlotte attempts a suplex to the floor over the top rope. Banks hangs on and falls on the ring apron. Charlotte with chops. Banks with the right hand and kicks, pushing Charlotte against the steel ring post. Charlotte levels Banks with a big kick and hits the floor with a thud. Charlotte goes for a cover. Of course, the falls count anywhere rules on Banks on the floor and gets a 2 count. Charlotte jumps off the ring steps, connecting with her natural selection on Banks for another 2 count. Charlotte argues with the referee about the count. Thought she had a 3 count. Banks found the kendo stick pulling out from under the ring. Banks cracks it over Charlotte repeatedly. Charlotte tries kicking at Banks. Banks keeps hitting Charlotte with the kendo stick. Charlotte kicks away the stick finally. Charlotte with a neck breaker on Sasha to the floor. Charlotte with a figure 4 and then puts in a figure 8 on Banks. Banks grabs the kendo stick again, cracks it over Charlotte to break up the submission. Charlotte with chop to Banks on the entrance ramp. Charlotte dumps Banks near the announce table. Charlotte then tosses Banks into the announce table, and Banks falls to the floor below the table. Charlotte stands on top of the announce table and takes out Banks with a moonsault off the table. Banks kicks out after a 2 count. Charlotte is still shocked. The Banks survived. Charlotte tosses Banks back onto the entrance ramp and starts dragging her back to the ringside area. Banks drives Charlotte into the ring post and then into the ring barricade. Banks stands on top of the barricade and connects with a double knees into the corner for a close 2 count. Banks with a repeated shots to the back of Charlotte with a kendo stick. They brawl to the crowd. Charlotte with an elbow and chop to Banks. They brawl up the stairs, and Banks pins Charlotte inside the railing. Banks stayed locked in, using the railing between the steps. As Banks is pulling back hard, Charlotte tapped out. Winner and new women's champion, Sasha Banks. After the match, Hall of Famer Ric Flair headed down to the ring. Sasha Banks has the Raw Women's Champion over her shoulder. Rick enters the ring and raises the arm of Banks as Flair gives her a hug and raises her arm one more time. We see a shot of Charlotte crying in the crowd as Banks holds up her new title inside the ring. And that concludes my Raw video for this week. And if you don't know, just comment, brothers and sisters, and see what I want to be.